Alrighty then, my roll of chums, it is I, Daniel. You may call me the pop culture dude, and after making 2 movie reviews, a non-spoiler one and a spoilers one of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I decided to make a 3rd movie predictions video for Sonic Movie 3. But before I start the video, I want to give out a spoiler warning for those who haven't seen Sonic Movie 2 just yet in theaters. So if you have not seen the movie, I suggest that you should not watch this video because I'm going to recap the events of the 2nd movie and make my expectations for the 3rd movie. So spoiler warning is in 3, 2, 1. First things first, I'm just gonna recap to my most popular upload, the Sonic movie sequels predictions. Half of my theories 2 years ago aged well, some of it hasn't. I'll explain why. Like, my expectations that did age well in the movie was Knuckles' inclusion on his conflict with Sonic personally that is connected to their origins, the Death Egg robot, the Chaos Emeralds, Super Sonic eventually being part of the end of the movie, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles form into a team together, and that's what I got right. What I got wrong was there was no Metal Sonic and Robotnik did not become arrested behind bars. Instead, he just falls into his doom where he's nowhere to be seen after the battle. But there's one theory that really ages well from a year ago was the fact that I expected Shadow to appear in the mid-credits of the 2nd movie so he could be set up for the 3rd movie. Speaking of that, let's recap the ending of the 2nd movie. So after when Sonic defeated Dr. Robotnik's giant Eggman robot in his supersonic form, he eventually turns back to normal, and Knuckles forms the Chaos Emeralds back to the Master Emerald, as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles agree that they should protect the Emerald from any evil at all costs. But all 3 of them agree that they should form a new tribe, aka a new alliance to become friends, but also to form a team. As all 3 of them give each other a power bump, they all decide to play baseball with each other and go out for ice cream as Tails and Knuckles joins the Wachowski family with Sonic. So before everyone decides to go head out for ice cream, Sonic forgot the Master Emerald that was left in the cooler, so they promise that they won't forget it, so Sonic runs fast to go get it by himself, and the movie ends. But before I talk about the mid-credit scene, I want to talk about the upcoming Knuckle series that will come out after the 2nd movie. Since it has been confirmed that Knuckles the Echidna will be getting his own spin-off series on Paramount Plus coming in 2023, and yes, Idris Elba will indeed reprise the role in the upcoming series. Even director Jeff Fowler gave us an interesting update about the Knuckles series coming soon. He said that it's very early in the process, that fans will love this character so much that they will want to see more of him, and it's very exciting that Jeff Fowler is optimistic about the future of Knuckles.
I love these characters. I love this movie universe that we've built. I think there's so many exciting things possible in the future. Again, right now, it's just, right now it's all about the adrenaline of finally getting to share this movie that we've been working on for the last 2 years with audiences. I think they're going to have such an amazing time. But yeah, it's the best possible outcome would be to get to tell more stories and to continue like with Knuckles. I mean, he's such an incredible character. I think fans are going to just walk out of this movie wanting more of him like immediately. And so, yeah, I mean, it'd be wonderful to be part of that planning.
Like Jeff Fowler says, he would like to have an opportunity to be a part of the planning of telling more future stories, especially characters like Knuckles the Echidna for his own series, and after watching the movie, I could already expect for what the series could be about. Like in the movie, Knuckles talks about that he's been raised by an ordinary tribe of warriors, which are known as the Echidna tribe. It even develops a little bit of his backstory for a bit in the movie, so I'm expecting that could be either a prequel or a prologue to Sonic Movie 2. Let's not forget that the prequel comic actually shows a little bit more of Knuckles before he enters to meet Dr. Robotnik in the movie. Especially, we see the Chaotix team in the background, Vector the Crocodile, Espio the Chameleon, and I think that's Charmy with his little antlers, I don't know. Even the comic includes those same 3 unknown tribal warriors that were at the beginning of the movie when they check around Dr. Robotnik when they entered the Mushroom Planet, which maybe the series could eventually explain more of that. And since I mentioned the Chaotix team are in the comics, maybe they could exist in the potential upcoming series. After all, the producers wants to make a cinematic universe of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Who knows, maybe they can introduce other elements of Knuckles' story, possibly Tikal, or maybe even the Chows, or maybe the tease of Chaos' existence. Since Jeff Fowler confirms that the series is in early stages of development, I could expect the Knuckles series could possibly take place before the 2nd movie. If not, then maybe it could take place after the 2nd movie where Knuckles goes off to his solo adventures, or maybe I should consider for what Idris Elba thinks for what Knuckles should do in the series.
Is there anything you can say about the Knuckles series?
Well, we don't know what it is yet, but we're finding it. I think that Knuckles is a fish out of water. He's new to the planet. I think we might explore that. Little food blog or something.
Food blog?
No.
Who knows, maybe he could food blog about how delicious are the grapes, because after all,
The grapes
are delicious. But that's all I could say about the Knuckles series as of right now. Anyway, let's get to the mid-credit scene that sets up the 3rd movie. So we go to the aftermath of Robotnik's Death Egg robot being destroyed. We see Commander Walters and his gun agent scattering around the area if Robotnik is around, and his agent update that there's no sign of Robotnik anywhere. Even the commander's having a hard time to believe that he actually survived that. So basically, if they haven't found Robotnik's body, that means he isn't dead. I guess Robotnik find a clever way to use his technology to leave the area as soon as possible without even noticing. But that's mostly gonna depend if Jim Carrey does want to come back for a third Sonic movie. I mean, he has been open to the idea that he will love to come back to a third movie, but that really depends on his retirement, so only time will tell what happens to Robotnik after this. Even Agent Stone is in disguise of a gun soldier just to pay attention for what the commander and the agent has to say about Dr. Robotnik, because even Agent Stone is curious of knowing where Dr. Robotnik is too. Next, the agent decided to share with the commander some secretive information that after when they were wiping Robotnik off their database, they found a file that was buried underneath their system for 50 years. If you're a huge Sonic fan, you should know what that reference means when it comes to 50 years, because my audience got very excited, and I'm gonna show you why.
There's something else. When we were wiping Robotnik off our database, we found something. A file buried deep in our system and dating back over 50 years.
No way! 50 years! Coordinates. To what?
A secret research facility. It's a black site, sir.
No way! On the Shadow! All hail Shadow! Yes, can you feel that, buddy? They finally did it! My throat. Sonic Movie 3, Shadow the Hedgehog.
That's right, you heard it from myself in the theater. Shadow the Hedgehog will be the next villain in Sonic Movie 3. Even a year ago, I made a predictions video of what if Shadow appears in the mid-credits of Sonic Movie 2 to be set up for Sonic Movie 3, and holy crap, that video and that theory just ages so well. Even in that same theory video, I even cover a podcast where both the writers, Pat Casey and Josh Miller, talk about a CGI character they couldn't use until the third movie, and now we finally know who it is.
Once they do the budget and kind of get into the real production draft, it's sort of like, well, we gotta lose this scene. Yeah, we gotta lose this whole other character. It's a CG character. It's too expensive. So I was just expecting that to happen, and we really only lost one thing, which we can't mention because I'm hoping maybe we could stick it in part 3 if there is a part 3. Yeah. But really, other than that, this one would have been a really fun Robotnik scene. All the other crazy shit that we put in the script is going to be in the movie, which is kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, the Robotnik scene, unfortunately, they were like, this is a lot, and it really has nothing to do with the plot. We were like, but it's so cool! Possibly part 3, possibly part 3.
Now that we know that secret CGI character that's supposedly safe for part 3 is Shadow the Hedgehog the entire time, now we know for sure that Sonic Movie 3 will be an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2. I mean, after all, Jeff Fowler did confirm that the future Sonic movie sequels will not follow the games in a chronological order. So that means the first movie was inspired by the first game, the second movie was inspired by the second and third game, and now the third movie is going to be Sonic Adventure 2. I mean, after all, Jeff Fowler has worked on the cutscenes in the Shadow the Hedgehog video game, and secondly, even Jeff Fowler himself admits that he and the rest of the movie crew were very confident that Shadow the Hedgehog should be the next character for the third movie.
I have my favorite, my list of characters, and that for many reasons, which I can't really go into, was the top of the list. Fortunately, everybody else on our side, the filmmaking side, Sega, Paramount, our producers, everyone kind of felt the same way. It was like, oh yeah, that's what we got to do. So that sort of clicked from early on, and I'm so excited about people seeing it.
Did you come close to another character? Was it always that character?
It was always that character.
See, I told you Jeff Fowler admits that Shadow the Hedgehog was their planned character to be set up for the third movie ever since they all planned about it. And I know many of you Sonic fans would be like, oh, they should have done Metal Sonic, it would have been exactly like Sonic CD, then that'll be the perfect time to put Amy Rose in. Why'd they choose Shadow over Metal? I understand where you guys are coming from, but let's be completely honest. Shadow has a much more stronger story, a much more complex character, and thirdly, he's one of the most marketable characters from Sonic the Hedgehog. He's even considered to be, I I kid you not, the second most popular Sonic character out of all of them. To think of it, think of the marketing of Sonic vs. Shadow in the promos, and I know people are going to say, is it going to be a repeat of Sonic vs. Knuckles? Well, yes, it is similar, but different. I mean, hey, look at the Sonic Adventure 2 promos, it's Sonic vs. Shadow, so imagine that, but in the movie version. Like, I could totally imagine the box office records going high because of the popularity and the fan excitement for Shadow the Hedgehog. Before I can make my expectation of how they're gonna handle Shadow in Sonic Movie 3, let's rewind back to his origin back in Sonic Adventure 2. 50 years ago, before the events of Sonic Adventure 2, Dr. Robotnik's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, was put in charge of Project Shadow, a secret military operation conducted on the space colony arc that dedicates to discovering the secrets of immorality. Gerald joined Project Shadow in the hopes of finding a cure for his granddaughter, Maria Robotnik, as she's diagnosed with a terminal illness. While Gerald couldn't find a cure for Maria, his research did result in the creation of two beings that were each dubbed the ultimate life form, the Bio-Lizard and Shadow the Hedgehog himself. But one of the most emotional parts of the story is where Shadow and Maria have a close friendship together. She even hopes that she could visit Earth someday, but the bad news is the tragedy struck when Gunn views Project Shadow as too dangerous to continue. They stormed the Ark to shut it down, and they killed Maria in the process. But Shadow was captured and put into status by the military when he was deemed as a threat to humanity. Shadow was placed in suspended animation for 50 years, and Gerald wanted revenge. He brainwashed Shadow the Hedgehog so he could carry out the plot to destroy the world with the Ark and the Bio-Lizard. In the end, Gerald lost his gripe on reality and went insane, devoting himself to avenge Maria by destroying humanity. While it was the thought that he was continuing his research with Shadow, Gerald secretly created a program that will cause the space colony Ark to fall to the Earth and destroy the planet once the 7 Chaos Emeralds were placed into the Eclipse cannon. 50 years later, Shadow was awakened by Dr. Robotnik, aka Dr. Eggman, after the latter found his grandfather's diary. After when Shadow was awake, he carried out to Gerald's plan to destroy the world, believing that he was fulfilling Maria's false wish for revenge. Then Shadow deceived Eggman to activating Gerald's program that put the space colony Ark on a collision course with the Earth, causing a recording of Gerald condemning the world to the destruction his final moments to be played across the world. Pretty deep stuff, am I right, for Shadow the Hedgehog's complex story? The real question is, will the filmmakers adapt any of these elements of Shadow's origin, or will they change it drastically? Especially if they're gonna adapt Shadow's origin by its darker roots. Even if the third movie wants to remain to have a PG rating like the first two movies, I say the third movie should go a bit darker than the last two Sonic movies. But let's be honest, even though the movies have not been that dark, but Longclaw did die, and so does the Echidnas too. It could be possible that they could adapt Maria's death and Shadow's origin. Like, for example, if Spider-Man No Way Home was darker than Homecoming and Far From Home in the MCU Spider-Man trilogy, I think Sonic Movie 3 could do the same compared to the first two movies, where the third movie is much more darker than the last two. Also, it would be so cool if Sonic and Shadow's introduction was similar like in the Sonic Adventure 2 game. Like if Shadow gets his hands on the Chaos Emerald, but in the movie sequel it's the Master Emerald with the Chaos Emeralds inside, and as Sonic agrees to protect it along with Tails and Knuckles, Shadow might be one of those opponents that the three heroes have to face in order to keep the Master Emerald safe away from Shadow. And the third movie could have the perfect opportunity to have Gunn to play a huge role, as in going after Sonic the Hedgehog for his mistaken identity over Shadow the Hedgehog. This could lead to personal consequences for anyone who's close to Sonic, like Tom and Maddie, that they could be in danger too as well. Speaking of Sonic's involvement, I think it would be really cool if the filmmakers try to find a clever way to recreate this epic sequence from Sonic Adventure 2. Yes, the Sigma Alpha helicopter was destroyed in the second movie, but hey, if Sonic could snowboard in the snowy mountains just like Ice Cap Zone from Sonic 3, and Sonic did an epic crime sequence as Blue Justice and a very Sonic Adventure 1 homage, we could possibly get this reference of follow me, set me free, trust me and we will escape from the city. If that happens in the movie, I would jump with joy if they do that in the movie. Since we're in the topic of music, I know as much as I like Stars in the Sky by Kid Cudi in the second movie, but come on, we gotta have Crush 40 for the third movie, please. Especially if you're putting Shadow the Hedgehog in your third movie where it's taking inspiration of Sonic Adventure 2, I think it would be a missed opportunity if there was no Crush 40 songs involvement in the movie. Then if they're not going to consider to bring back Crush 40, then can we get at least a rock and roll band, because that's definitely a music genre that defines Sonic. Like, don't get me wrong, Speed Me Up was rap, Stars in the Sky was hip-hop. You gotta get at least a rock band for the third movie, like, I don't know, like Imagine Dragons or Fall Out Boys or something, I don't know. But music requests aside, now that we know that Gunn will play a major role in the third movie, does that mean they still consider Sonic as an extraterrestrial to lock up? I mean, ever since the events of Rachel's wedding in Hawaii, aka Operation Catfish? Because after all, in the exact same scene, Rachel's fiance Randall was a gun soldier the entire time, as there was a separate scene where they spent on Rachel and Randall getting back together, which was my least favorite scene. Ugh. But now knowing that she's gonna be engaged with a gun agent, looks like JoJo's stepdad is a gun soldier that might be after Sonic and his friends. Look, I know that prediction is so minor, but if they consider to bring back Shamar Moore back as Randall, he probably might be involved with the gun organization again. Speaking of gun and returning characters, so if we go back to the mid-credit scene where Agent Stone is in disguise as a gun soldier, which means he did survive the crash of the Death Egg robot, the actor who played Agent Stone, Lee Mashdub, made a Q&A on Twitter as I asked him in my Twitter account where I asked, "Hey Lee, do you believe there's more room for Agent Stone's arc for Sonic Movie 3? As he responds, "I think there's a lot of room for Stone to expand and evolve and develop further." As his answer to my question got me even more interested of where they're gonna take Agent Stone possibly in the third movie. I mean, after all, in the second movie, Agent Stone has proved that he's more than Dr. Robotnik's assistant that gives him latte with steam monster and goat milk. Agent Stone could possibly carry the legacy of Dr. Robotnik on whether he survives or not by the ending of the movie. Also, let's not forget, when Agent Stone was in disguise, he was paying attention for what the commander and his agent were communicating about a file that was buried underneath for 50 years in their system, which happens to be Project Shadow. But the two biggest questions I have that involves with Stone is number one, will he be on the search to find Dr. Robotnik? Or two, will he be interested in finding Project Shadow underneath that system? But I think the most important question that I have to ask is, will Jim Carrey come back as Dr. Robotnik for a third Sonic movie? For those of you who watch my videos, you should know that I'm a huge fan of Jim Carrey. I'll still never forget the day where he acknowledged my Dr. Robotnik recreation from the first movie 2 years ago on Twitter, and it was truly amazing. I even made a cosplay video of Dr. Robotnik to be committed and dedicated for both the actor and the character himself. And ever since he was cast as Robotnik in the first movie and returned in the second movie, that's what got me even more excited to see him on the big screen once again. And I enjoyed his classic 90s comedic energy as Dr. Robotnik in these past two Sonic movies that it kind of breaks my heart that he announced that he's gonna retire soon, but possibly not right away, but just whenever a script is quote-unquote written in gold ink that will convince him to be a part of another movie. But what could this mean for his involvement for Sonic Movie 3? Let me explain. Number one, he loves the character so much that you could tell that he's having fun playing the role in these two Sonic movies. Number two, he thinks the character is very interesting enough to evolve, transform, and change into different forms. Number three, he isn't against the idea of coming back for a third movie because he does have ideas in mind for where Robotnik could do.
And if there was a third film to come from this, where would you want to see Dr. Robotnik go from here?
I think quantum computers are going to take us to a completely unbelievable place, you know, where there'll be nanotechnology and people will be walking around with retinal displays in their eyeballs. And, you know, you'll be, I'll be doing this interview on this eye, and this eye will be watching, you know, something completely horrible.
I mean, that future sounds wild because I struggle to pay attention to one thing already, so to pay attention to two things simultaneously.
It's not going to be comfortable. No, but I mean, just imagine if Robotnik could multiply himself and clone himself, or you know, shrink his machines down to a nanotechnology that is imperceptible to the human eye and can travel in an aerosol form or something like that and get inside your body. The possibilities are endless.
They are indeed.
And it's possible that we could see him in the fat Eggman form ever since that was an Easter egg in the second movie.
Is Robotnik's look going to continue to evolve? Because I need to see what you would do with Fat Eggman. I got it.
Well, I honestly, yeah, I've been lobbying for the fat Eggman, the big Eggman, you know, kind of thing for a while. But apparently, they wanted to show the audience how imperfect my actual body is. So I've done that now. So you never know. But Yeah. I mean, there's so much fun with the look of this character. You know, I really wanted to start veering toward, and I lobbied hard toward, like, let's do the guy that they're used to seeing, you know, and that mustache is an outward manifestation of ego, you know, and he shaves his head on the mushroom planet because that's loser hair. That's the hair that lost the battle, man. You got to get rid of that.
Hearing these words from Jim Carrey himself just makes me feel optimistic that he will come back for the third movie. He mentions that Robotnik might be involved with quantum computers, nanotechnology, cloning, and potentially the Fat Eggman suit. And Jim Carrey's not the only one that mentions the Fat Eggman suit. Even Jeff Fowler said it himself too.
Base, but obviously the question of Robotnik's weight, I can understand why that would be have some speculation from the fan community. But you know, it's like, you don't the same reason why we didn't come out in the first film and give Robotnik the big crazy mustache, like it was a little bit more of an origin story, and it gave us somewhere to go. I mean, it's funny because I also look back on that first film, and Sonic didn't even have his red shoes for the first 2/3 of the movie. It was like about making that a really special movie moment. So, and that's just, I think that's important. I think on a long enough timeline, we'll have the opportunity to get to so many things that fans love, as long as we get to, you know, knock on wood, keep getting to make these films. And yeah, who's to say? Like there's lots of room for growth with the characters, and the Good Doctor included.
By listening to this, Jeff does have a point. He did mention, after all, that Sonic did not get his iconic shoes until the final act of the movie, and Robotnik doesn't even have his iconic look until the mid-credit scene. Like what Jeff Fowler says when he says, quote-unquote, knock on wood to tell more stories, we could see more of the evolution of Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik, from black suit, to bald cap and mustache with the red suit, to become overweight and look chubby. The last source of evidence that I will show for the high possibility for Jim Carrey's Robotnik to return for the third Sonic movie, it's a word from the producers themselves, Toby Asher and Neil H. Mortez.
Jim Carrey last week said he might be stepping away from the business for a little while. What is going to happen with Robotnik? Do you guys have a plan, or are you going to pull up that truck to Jim Carrey's house and get him back on board?
Jim Carrey is always a member of the Sonic family, and he'll always have a place in these movies and TV shows as long as he'd like to be around. We love Jim, and he's so special, and what he does with Robotnik is so incredible. We would love him as long as he'd like to be there with us.
And I have a feeling that he loves Robotnik so much that I don't think he'll be able to walk away from it.
Yeah. You also can't fill those shoes after Jim Carrey.
No, we wouldn't even try.
Yeah.
Hearing those words from the producers themselves are very optimistic that it could be possible that Jim Carrey could come back for another Sonic movie. I'm glad they also consider that they will never recast Robotnik, that they won't even try. Because good, that would be so dookie of them, because no one can outmatch Jim Carrey's performance. As both a Sonic fan and a Jim Carrey fan, I feel like he should be at least one more movie, just to have at least a conclusion to his arc if he wants to really retire after Sonic 3, but most importantly, be involved with the Shadow the Hedgehog story. Because let's be honest, it'll be also interesting that Jim Carrey's Robotnik can know a little bit about the backstory of his family's history, because if you're gonna include Gerald Robotnik and Maria Robotnik for Shadow the Hedgehog's origin story, how can you do that story without Robotnik himself? But if Jim Carrey doesn't want to come back for a third Sonic movie, then they could confirm that Robotnik did die from the Death Egg robot crash, but, hear me out, Agent Stone will take his place. If Robotnik is not involved in the third movie at all, maybe Agent Stone could either explore or research about his family history about Gerald or even Maria, or maybe even Agent Stone could awaken Shadow in the first place to set him free. But that's only if Robotnik is not in the third movie. I guess Agent Stone will be the best solution to replace that role. Especially looking back at Lee Mashdoob's answer to my question on Twitter of what he could see for Agent Stone's future in the next film. But once again, it's going to be hard to imagine to do the Gerald Robotnik story without Jim Carrey's Robotnik himself, and I think that will be a big missed opportunity if they won't do that. But yet again, his involvement in the third movie is just still up in the air at this point. I hope he comes back for a third movie, just at least to have his first movie in his trilogy, but make a send-off to Robotnik before he moves on. And I know the Sonic movie franchise will still be successful with or without him, but I still want to appear at least for one more installment, and then I'm satisfied. Sorry for making this segment too long, guys. Besides, I think it would be cool if he interacts with Shadow. And speaking of Shadow, who should be the voice of Shadow the Hedgehog for Sonic Movie 3? I know you guys want Jason Griffith to reprise the role of Shadow the Hedgehog, which he's arguably the best Shadow the Hedgehog voice actor.
If he says he knows the truth about who I am, then like it or not, I have to believe him. The only way I'm gonna get the secrets to my past is to get those Chaos Emeralds.
But I think it might be a celebrity choice, just like they cast Idris Elba as Knuckles. But hey, that casting choice still works.
I have been trading for this my entire life.
Of course, my fan casting choice will be a popular one, and say it with me, Keanu Reeves. If you don't believe me, maybe this will convince you.
I appreciate that. Give me your son. An opportunity to grieve unalone. And your son took that from me. Stole that from me. Killed that from me!
I know this is a popular fan casting choice, but I think Keanu Reeves has the vocals to voice Shadow. I mean, aside from his action films like The Matrix or John Wick, I mean, he's no stranger to voiceover like Toy Story 4 and voicing Batman in the DC Super Pets movie, so why not consider Keanu Reeves? I think he's a good choice. But you know who's another celebrity casting choice I would choose aside from Keanu Reeves? Hear me out, especially since I mentioned Batman. Robert Pattinson. I know that some of you guys will say, oh wow, how original of you, Daniel, but hear me out on this once again. I think his Batman voice, yes, just because of the Batman movie, I think with that type of vocal cords, could easily fit for Shadow the Hedgehog.
Makes me feel free in a way I've never known. If you were smart, you'd stay away from me.
The hell are you supposed to be?
I'm vengeance.
Whew, chills, am I right? Anyway, Robert Pattinson and Keanu Reeves will be my celebrity casting choices. But guess what? I'm not the only one who thought of my celebrity castings for Shadow. Even the Sonic Movie 2 cast thought of their ideas already. The voice of Tails herself, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, considers that if Jack Nicholson was working, she thinks Jack Nicholson will be a great choice. And I'm like, what? Jack Nicholson to voice Shadow? What's it gonna be? My name is Shadow. Chaos Control. Wait till they get a load of me. Here's Shadow! I'm sorry, I'm just having too much fun with this. That even Tika Sumter likes the suggestion that it will be different. Like, yeah, it'll be so different if it's Jack Nicholson voicing Shadow. That's such a weird casting choice. But you know who thought of a decent casting choice compared to the other cast members? Lee Bashtub, who plays Agent Stone, considers Henry Cavill should voice Shadow. That will be quite interesting. Superman to voice Shadow? Like what Lee says, if Henry does like that gravelly, grounded, deep voice, then maybe he could be a solid choice. I mean, Henry is a gamer after all. I mean, he's the Witcher for crying out loud. But aside from that, that sounds like a way better casting choice than Jack Nicholson as Shadow. Depending on who they cast for Shadow the Hedgehog, which is obviously might be a celebrity choice. Hopefully it's a good one. I'm still placing my bets for Keanu Reeves or Robert Pattinson at least, but who knows, I would like to be surprised on who they consider to voice Shadow for Sonic Movie 3. As I want to get into the topic of talking about other Sonic characters for the third movie, I would like to hear a word of the voice of Tails herself, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, which, surprisingly, she knows a little detail about Sonic Movie 3.
How much have you been asking Jeff, so hey, what are you thinking about with Sonic 3? What do you want to tell me?
They've told me nothing. I know nothing. I am Jon Snow. I haven't been told anything, other than that it's in development, so...
Yeah, I'm very confident.
So basically what Colleen is saying that she has no idea of what's the story about the third movie just yet, all that she knows that the movie's in development, but we do know for sure that Tails will be involved in the third movie without a doubt. Speaking of Tails, since he had an emotional bond with Sonic in the movie, and he was extremely reliable to help Sonic out with his gadgets and his intelligence, but he also is now a part of Sonic's family with Tom and Maddie, including with Knuckles too. Since Tails is considered to be the brains of the team, I'm just curious of what type of gadgets that he could invent next for the next movie, but possibly a new plane, and hear me out once again, if Tails invents a new model for his plane, he could create the mech from Sonic Adventure 2. I mean, after all, his plane was destroyed by the Death Egg robot by the end of the second movie. Because if Sonic Movie 3 is really gonna take inspiration of Sonic Adventure 2 by its roots, then I think it would be so cool if they upgrade Tails' new gadgets, but also his plane to turn into a mech. And if Robotnik does return, it would be so cool if both Tails and Robotnik have a rematch ever since the second movie. Especially when Tails was multiplying himself to distract Robotnik in the Death Egg robot where he says, "You can't outsmart me! I'm the outsmarterer!" And as I mentioned the inspiration of the Tails mech versus the Eggman mech from Sonic Adventure 2, there's a certain character that appears in that cutscene from that game that even Colleen O'Shaughnessy, Tika Sumter, and even Ben Schwartz spoke about a certain pink hedgehog that they would like to see in a future Sonic movie.
It seems like we're on our way to a big cinematic universe with Sonic. Do you see yourself continuing to play Tails as long as you can? Is there something you'd love to see in a future movie that we haven't seen yet?
I will do it as long as they will have me. I would love to see Amy come in at some point. I don't know. I'm so excited to see what they've got cooking, because I know they've got these things in development, and I'm always the last person to know, but I can't wait to see what they're coming up with, because they're so clever and they're so smart about the way that they've done all of this so far. I can't wait to see where it's headed.
I want to see more of us being utilized, right? And I mean, maybe they'll bring somebody like Amy out of the woodworks to, you know what I mean? Or another Sonic, or whatever that looks like, another character. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it is the beauty of what Jeff has created is just like the potential is there.
Yep.
And he knows in us that he'll always have a Rachel and Maddie at his disposal. And Sonic 3, Rachel's Revenge, that sounds, that has a nice ring to it. A buddy comedy. Fantastic.
Yep, you heard what Colleen said, you heard what Tika said, and there was a separate interview where Ben mentioned about the character too. They would like to see Amy Rose in the next movie. And obviously what Tika said about another Sonic character, she obviously refers to Shadow the Hedgehog. I know there's gonna be some Sonic fans out there that'll be like, we need more female Sonic characters to appear in future Sonic movies. But hearing from what each of the cast members said that they want to see Amy in a future Sonic movie, it could be very possible. I mean, to be fair, if you look back at the past two Sonic movies, the only female characters we have so far are the lead human characters, Maddie and her sister Rachel, but also Longclaw as well. And I'm also counting JoJo too. But now knowing that the cast and the producers are open for a Sonic cinematic universe for multiple characters to appear, and now knowing that they could have the potential to introduce female Sonic characters from the lore, and Amy Rose could be the first one. And I know some fans will argue back by saying, wait, if Shadow the Hedgehog's gonna be the main focus for Sonic Movie 3 and it's gonna take inspiration for Sonic Adventure 2, how will Amy Rose fit into the story if she's gonna be introduced in that movie? And yet again, I could see some more fans argue back by saying, oh, Amy Rose should have been part of the Metal Sonic story, then they will develop her character even more and not be overshadowed by Shadow the Hedgehog. And I understand where you guys are coming from, but since Sonic Movie 3 will take the inspiration of Sonic Adventure 2, yes, it is true that Amy does not have a larger role in Sonic Adventure 2 rather than she has a huge role in Sonic Adventure 1. But remember guys, Jeff Fowler did say that the Sonic movies are not going to follow the games in a chronological order, so it doesn't have to be exactly the same. They can find creative ways to introduce Amy if she's considered for the third movie. Now that I thought about that, I think there's a clever way to introduce Amy Rose in the third movie. Call me unoriginal, but I think her role should be similar like Tails in the second movie. Like, think about it, if Knuckles had a much more complex story in the second movie, and I'm not saying Tails isn't complex, he is well developed from his character, but for Knuckles we go a bit deeper for his origin story, but also for his morals as well. I'm thinking it's gonna be treated the same way in the third movie, where Shadow's gonna have a much more deeper complex story, while Amy's just gonna be the side character that might discover about Sonic just like Tails. And I know that Amy isn't as highly intelligent like Tails, but she should be smart enough to know the knowledge of Sonic the Hedgehog's existence on the planet. For instance, if Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles use rings to teleport to travel, it could be possible that Amy could use rings to teleport to Earth as well. And since the movie version of the Sonic characters takes similarities and differences from their video game counterparts, I say her personality traits should be taking the inspiration from Sonic Boom, where she's a lot more mature, she cares a lot more of her friends, she still has a crush on Sonic, but she doesn't like massively simps over Sonic a lot.
Gotcha, my darling Sonic.
Amy, what are you doing here?
Sonic, this time there's no way out of marrying me.
But also I think it would be pretty cool if Amy Rose joins the team along with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and not just because she'll be the first female character of the team. It would be so cool if you have the 4 classic Sonic characters who's been around since the 90s all together on the big screen. And yes, I say bring the Pinko Pinko hammer in live action as her weapon. And I think it would be pretty heartwarming if Amy Rose comforts Shadow the Hedgehog of his remembrance of what Maria tells Shadow to do, not just for vengeance, but to protect the good of humanity. And if Amy Rose's character is done like that in the third movie, then that could make her as one of the greatest additions into the third movie. The last note that I would like to include for Amy Rose before I move on is the casting consideration for the character. I mean, I'm fine with either the choice of bringing back her voice actress Cindy Robinson to reprise the role, or maybe they can have a celebrity casting choice. If they consider to do the celebrity casting decision, then my choices would be either Allison Brie, who voices Unikitty from the Lego movie, or maybe Anna Kendrick. I'm just gonna play Anna Kendrick's example.
Oh, that's great. You're the one guy who knows more about Bergens than anyone, but when we finally need you, you just want to hide here forever? I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. You told me not to throw the party, and I threw it anyway, and it's my fault they were taken, and now I don't know what to do.
Like, I know it's a different take on Amy Rose, but I think her personality could fit for the character, and yes, it is dialogue from Trolls, because that's another pink character she voices. But if you guys are not convinced with the Anna Kendrick consideration, then how about we try out the Allison Brie consideration?
Babysitters, no bedtimes, no frowny
smiley faces, no bushy mustaches, and no negativity of any kind.
But yeah, those will be my fan casting choices if they consider to put Amy in the third film. But anyway, that's all I have to say about Amy Rose. There's another Sonic female character that I would like to see in the next film aside from Amy. She plays a major role in the Sonic Adventure 2 storyline, and it's none other than Boobs the Bat. I'm just kidding, it's Rouge the Bat. I personally think it would be a big missed opportunity if they do not include Rouge in the third movie, especially if they're gonna focus on Shadow and taking inspiration from Sonic Adventure 2. Adding Rouge into the mix of the ensemble-led cast will be pretty interesting for Rouge and Shadow, possibly Robotnik against Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic. But also including Amy Rose too, and there you have it, you got the main central characters of Sonic Adventure 2 in the third movie. As we are talking about Rouge, I would like to recap her introduction in Sonic Adventure 2. Rouge is considered to be a jewel thief, but she's also an occasional government spy working for Gun. Even though Rouge is a free agent regularly operating as an unrepentant criminal, Rouge can be found fighting against Sonic and mostly Knuckles the Echidna a lot, and she happens to team up with Eggman more than one occasion. She's not above exploiting her charm and good looks if it helps her to get what she wants. Treasure. Lots and lots of treasure. Think of it like she's Black Cat from Spider-Man, for example. When Rouge is first introduced in Sonic Adventure 2, we see her fighting with Knuckles outside of Eggman's pyramid base. Rouge has apparently somehow stolen the Master Emerald from Angel Island, but she's enjoying very little success as she convinces Knuckles to stop pursuing and let her take the emerald. But once when Eggman appears to take that Master Emerald away from both of them, Knuckles shatters the Master Emerald to keep it out of both Rouge's and Eggman's hands. Therefore, it was the beginning of Knuckles and Rouge's competition to scramble to recover all the shards and rebuild the Master Emerald in their treasure hunt. Since the Master Emerald was a major plot point in the second movie, and if Rouge is introduced to Knuckles very similar in that cutscene from Sonic Adventure 2, it would be so cool if we actually get to see that interaction between Knuckles and Rouge. If the Master Emerald gets broken into pieces again, I think it will be very entertaining if we get to see Knuckles and Rouge compete each other just to find all the pieces. And if they're gonna develop Rouge and Knuckles appearing in the movie together, then who's gonna be voicing Rouge to star opposite Idris Elba's Knuckles? Well, for my fan casting consideration for Rouge, I would like to consider Ms. Black Widow herself, Scarlett Johansson.
It's true. So, Banner, that's your play. So if you want to arrest me, arrest me. You'll know where to find me. Did I step on your moment? Hey, fellas. Either one of you know where the Smithsonian is? I'm here to pick up a fossil.
Whew, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm pretty biased. I think Scarlett Johansson could actually nail the role as Rouge the Bat. I mean, she has done voice acting before. She did voice Mindy in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Plus, it would be cool to have an MCU star like Scarlett Johansson and Idris Elba, who did play Heimdall in Thor and even Bloodsport in the Suicide Squad from DC. I think it would be a pretty interesting dynamic, not gonna lie. Plus, I think Scarlett Johansson can nail that sexy, seductive, flirtatious, gosh, Scarlett Johansson's so hot, but anyway, let's get back on topic. But aside from Rouge on being the hunt for the missing pieces of the Master Emerald in competition with Knuckles, Rouge was hired as the President's specialist agent to spy on Dr. Robotnik's schemes aboard the Space Colony Ark and compile a report on Professor Gerald's Ultimate Lifeform Project, which is referring to Shadow the Hedgehog. To assist her infiltration, Rouge makes the appearance of teaming up with Eggman and Shadow as they participate in the bombing of Prison Island and the laser destruction of the moon. However, in the finale of Sonic Adventure 2, Rouge reveals her true alliance and helps avert the colony drop during the cannon's core with everyone else. So everything about Rouge in Sonic Adventure 2 is pretty impactful to the story, but even though I want Rouge's introduction to Knuckles to be similar like the game, just gotta think of a proper introduction to introduce Rouge to be involved in Project Shadow for Sonic Movie 3. If Rouge the Bat is somewhere to be seen on Earth by Gun, I could totally see Gun taking the research of this sexy, attractive bat that has the ability of a spy. They probably might hire her to take research of Project Shadow. What if Rouge interacts with Agent Stone as he's in disguise of a gun soldier? As they could get curious about Shadow the Hedgehog, but not just Shadow, Space Colony Ark, and maybe that could find the answers of where Robotnik is. And if they did realize that Robotnik did survive and they found him, they can all continue the legacy of the Space Colony Ark's work. And yes, they should have made Dr. Robotnik into his fat Eggman form, and it would be funny if they recreate the "I've come to make an announcement" on the television. Plus, I think it would be so cool to have Dr. Robotnik, Agent Stone, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Rouge the Bat versus Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy in live action, but also have their interactions and their fights up in space? Heck yeah, man! If they have the budget to put all of those characters in, Sonic Movie 3 will definitely be the biggest Sonic movie out of all of them. Plus, like a year ago, even the writers Pat Casey and Josh Miller have considered to add Rouge someday in one of the future Sonic movies.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Tails and Knuckles, I feel like they are the most important characters, and you know, Metal Sonic and Amy Rose, and I like.
I know everyone else hates them. Yeah,
we keep suggesting Rouge the Bat to Jeff, and he's like, "I don't want to do it, but we're gonna talk him into getting it."
Yeah, once we get to parts 3 and 4,
it's like this movie needs a sexy bat in it.
I think it's funny for what they said for part 3 and 4 that they need to add this sexy bat in our movies. But in conclusion, those are the reasons why I say Rouge the Bat should be in Sonic Movie 3. Who knows, if Paramount wants to continue the Sonic movie franchise after Sonic Movie 3, they could make a Shadow the Hedgehog Paramount Plus series, and who knows, maybe they can add Rouge in it, but also Omega. It could be a Team Dark spin-off show, or maybe it could take inspiration from the Shadow the Hedgehog video game. I don't know. Who knows, only time will tell. And if there's one more character I would like to add in the third movie, and this character doesn't need to have a major role, but maybe at least a cameo at least. Just don't take this seriously, guys. It's probably not what you're expecting, but I would like to see a live-action Big the Cat make a cameo in the next movie. I know Big is mostly known as a purple, dumb, fat cat that likes to go fishing with, "Froggy, where are you, Froggy? I love fishing." Like, I know that's all for his character traits, but come on, you just gotta like a character that is dumb, but also lovable at the same time. I am fully aware that Big is not one of the most complex characters out of all the other Sonic characters. But in Sonic Adventure 2, he doesn't have a huge impact on the story. He just appears out of nowhere out of all these random cameos in Sonic Adventure 2. And if you guys think I'm over-exaggerating, I'm not the only one who wants to see Big in one of the Sonic movies. Like, one of the co-writers, Pat Casey, DM'd Sonic the Cosplayer on trying to find another way to put Big the Cat in one of these movies someday. He even admits that he almost got the chance of adding Big in the second movie, but probably the reason why they didn't include him just because they don't want Big to distract away from Tails and Knuckles. But also from that same podcast, both Pat and Josh are fully aware that fans don't like Big the Cat, but they would like to introduce him in one of these films.
maybe because the real diehard Sonic fans hate him so much. I feel like we think Big the Cat is just sort of a hilarious existence of just a giant cat who loves fishing. It feels like a Miyazaki character.
It does. Yeah, he does.
See? Told you guys, but guess what? They're not the only ones who wants to see Big. I'm not joking. Ben Schwartz revealed that his favorite Sonic character is not Sonic, it's Big the Cat. I am not making this up. This is quoted from Ben Schwartz himself. Like, as Ben Schwartz was joking about Christopher Walken should voice all the characters, he says, "Oh, by the way, Big the Cat, my favorite character." So if Ben Schwartz wants to see Big the Cat, but also co-writer Pat Casey, then it could be possible that we could see Big. We should cast James Corden to play Big. After all, he was a big fat cat himself in the Cats movie. And I almost forgot to mention that Knuckles himself, Idris Elba, was in that movie. Whew, no wonder they call his Knuckles voice attractive. All joking aside, if Big the Cat does appear in Sonic Movie 3, he should have like fun silly cameos. If not, that's fine. It's just a silly suggestion to recommend. Now that I already picture in my mind of what type of roles that these Sonic characters should do in the third movie, the last character I want to talk about is none other than the main star himself in these two movies, Sonic the Hedgehog. So where can we take this iconic blue speedy hedgehog from living his best life on Earth, who happens to be sadly alone, who happens to team up with a small town cop as they're being tracked down by an evil doctor with a mustache from the Civil War? From then having an emotional bond with the small town cop along with his wife, and then the doctor arrives with a brand new upgrade from the blue hedgehog to use his speed and power to protect his friends. And then he defeats the evil doctor into the abyss, he's a small town hero, and now he's adopted to be a part of a family. Then the next chapter of his life is about getting used to being a hero, but he's being a little reckless of his actions. As he enjoyed living his life on Earth once again, he meets up with a familiar foe once again, but this time he has brought a challenging opponent to face off with him. As Sonic's new opponent was too strong for him, he got the help of a brand new friend to tag along with him. As Sonic's new foe is on the chase after him and Tails, they both team up to join along in the adventure on the hunt for the Master Emerald before Robotnik and Knuckles leave their hands on it. As Sonic rematches with Knuckles again and again, Knuckles realizes the truth that Robotnik has been using him to take away the Master Emerald to himself. As Sonic and Knuckles both save each other from drowning, Both of them share plenty of things in common when it comes to losing people that they love from their past, and they used to be loners too, as they both get along as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all join forces as a team to stop Dr. Robotnik's evil giant robot destroying the town of Green Hills. As Robotnik's new powers are even more stronger than before, it leads to Sonic to his downfall, as even Sonic was about to die along with his family by Robotnik's destruction. To have supersonic powers to take down the evil doctor once again and make his robot go timber! As Sonic changes back into his regular form, he agrees that himself, Tails, and Knuckles should protect the Master Emerald at all costs as they form a tribe together. As Tails and Knuckles join along with Sonic's family as he's no longer alone, that Sonic has finally found his wingmen. The reason why I recap Sonic's journey for the past 2 movies is to show how much he has progressed as a character, but also leading up to the question of where can we take Sonic's journey in the 3rd movie? Well, maybe we got an answer from the voice of Sonic himself, Ben Schwartz.
In my head, the idea is that the first one was about him kind of finding out his powers and harnessing them. The second one is kind of realizing that he can't do it alone. You can't do anything by yourself. You need friends, you need a team. And the third one is he kind of finds his team. He has a Tails right now, and so it's like, what do you do when you have this power, and who are you going to go against? And I think the way we're building out these movies, and if you care about the video games, you know how many big characters there are left to play with, and the hope is that maybe we get to bring in a bunch of these characters. If they keep building the way they're building, we could really build this kind of universe, and we can have these other TV shows that split off and stuff like that. So I'm so excited because, as James said, it's like, it's not easy to be a part of something that gets a sequel, let alone they're already greenlit a 3rd one. So we are over the moon, and I hope that they build on the 3rd one like they built on this one, because then it could just get huge, which is very exciting.
I couldn't agree more for what Ben just said, because he does have a point. Now that Sonic finally has a team with Tails and Knuckles by the end of the 2nd movie, then the 3rd movie could truly show how Sonic is capable of being a leader of his own team. Especially Sonic needs a team to face a new threat like Shadow the Hedgehog in the next film. Like, it was so cool to see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles team up with each other in the 2nd movie. It would be so cool to see a lot of their team up moments. Let's just say, it will be like a Sega's version of an Avengers-style movie, but with Sonic characters in it. Especially what Ben said about expanding the cinematic universe with future TV shows and potential Sonic movie sequels, and maybe even other characters that could come into play in these movies. So if Sonic Movie 3 wants to prove that it could be the biggest Sonic movie ever made, to make it like an Avengers-style team-up movie with the Sonic characters, but also taking inspiration of Sonic Adventure 2, and maybe get to see Sonic and his friends go to space to face the villains in live action would be so awesome. If they consider to take this direction according to plan, then Sonic Movie 3 has a reason to be excited about, but deserve itself as a 3rd movie in the Sonic movie trilogy. Like, I'm mostly excited for the Sonic and Shadow interactions in live action. And yes, I would love to see some iconic homages from Sonic Adventure 2 between Sonic and Shadow. I would love to see Sonic and Shadow posing next to each other side by the moon, just like in the intro of Sonic Adventure 2. And I will be so happy if they actually acknowledge this reference. I found you, faker! I'll make you eat those words! And since the fights between Sonic vs. Knuckles in the 2nd movie were really awesome, imagine the fight sequences of Sonic vs. Shadow in live action. But similar like the conflict between Sonic and Knuckles in the 2nd movie, I want something just like that with Sonic and Shadow, but slightly different. I think what would be so complex between Sonic and Shadow if they have one thing in common, they have a human friend that they have a personal connection with. And it would be pretty delightful if we see Shadow have a change of heart, especially if remembering for what Maria's final wish that she wants for Shadow.
I know you can do it. That's the reason why you were brought into this world. Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.
I promised her, and I must keep that promise.
Also in the finale of the game, as Sonic and Shadow agreed to both team up with each other to fight the Bio Lizard, it would be so amazing that we get to see both Super Sonic and Super Shadow teaming up together in the movie. After all, Sonic has changed into Super Sonic form by the end of the 2nd movie, so it would be cool if we see more of that with Shadow in the next film. Also, this may sound random, but if Sonic ever interacts with Agent Stone since he never has from the past 2 movies, imagine if Agent Stone says something like, "You took everything from me. I don't even know who you are." Sorry about that Avengers Endgame reference, I just thought that would be pretty funny. But all joking aside, if the ending takes a similar direction like the ending of Sonic Adventure 2, like Sonic and Shadow using Chaos Control to destroy the Space Colony Ark, while Shadow sacrifices his life as he remembers Maria's final promise to him, as every human being on Earth is satisfied that their planet is not in destruction, as Sonic returns with the others to mourn the sacrifice for what Shadow the Hedgehog did to save the planet. I would love to see the empathy from Robotnik talking about how much he looks up to his grandfather. It will just not show the humanity of Robotnik, but also to show his soft side as well. It would also be nice where Knuckles and Rouge are both on good terms, but they go split in their own ways. As Sonic and his friends return back home to Earth, Sonic returns back home with his real family, the two humans that's been raising him for so many years, Tom and Maddie Wachowski. As both of them will be happy to admit to see how much they are so proud to see how much Sonic has progressed as a hero. And I'm also thinking that there's a possibility to have two different endings to make this a very emotional one to end for the third movie. My first idea for the ending could be similar like the second movie. Let's say if Amy wants to join in the family with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Tom, and Maddie, she's welcome to join in. Or my second possible idea for the third movie's ending, I'm gonna take the inspiration from Spider-Man No Way Home, where Tom Holland's Peter Parker shares his final goodbye to both his girlfriend and his best friend. Gets to move on to a life of his own. By showing an example like that, what if the ending leads up to Sonic and his friends going back to the original planet so they could be heroes of their original world? And ever since Sonic has progressed to be capable of a true legendary hero, Sonic can have an emotional farewell to Tom as he's ready to move on in life to lead his own team. As Sonic makes a promise to Tom that he'll see him again. Depending on the amount of rings that he has to teleport back to Earth, Sonic will always remember to take his time on visiting the two humans that raised him like a family where he's no longer alone anymore. As Sonic shares a heartfelt goodbye to Tom and Maddie, Sonic joins along with his team to be the heroes of that planet as he runs fast in the speed of sound to a new chapter in his life. But that's how I personally think that the ending should be like. To make this ending different from the last two movies, but also to develop some character growth for Sonic in the trilogy. But that's how I would want for the ending for the third movie. If you guys agree or disagree with me, that's fine. Just let me know down in the comments if you like this ending or not. If Paramount wants to continue the Sonic movie franchise after the third movie, they can add a mid-credit scene that potentially sets up a fourth movie if that happens. And since they confirmed future Sonic movie sequels will not follow the timeline of the games in a chronological order, they could choose whichever game they want to adapt for the fourth movie. They could tease Metal Sonic as the next villain to take inspiration from Sonic Heroes, or maybe tease Chaos to adapt Sonic Adventure 1, or even introduce Silver the Hedgehog in the mid-credit scene to possibly adapt Sonic 06, only if it's done right. What the heck, just put Chris Pratt's Mario in the mid-credits so we could tease a Super Smash Bros. Crossover with Sonic and Mario. Besides, even Jeff Fowler's open to make a Super Smash Bros. Movie if it doesn't fall into legal issues. But the overall point is, they can take whatever direction they want for the fourth movie if that ever happens in the future. And that finally concludes all my predictions and expectations for Sonic Movie 3. I'm sorry that this video was too long enough to take the time for me to express everything about the third movie, but hey, I'm just excited, I just want to express my thoughts. If any of my predictions in this video becomes a reality for the third movie, then I believe I have a lot of high hopes of Sonic Movie 3 not just being the biggest Sonic movie, but possibly the best one in the trilogy. But that's all I have to say, guys. If you agree or disagree with my ideas and predictions, just let me know down in the comments. You guys can also tell me what do you want to see in the third Sonic movie in the comments down below. I'm just gonna wrap it up here. If you made it this far by watching this video, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care now. Bye bye then.